Good day, good morning to everyone on the West Coast. Good night, good afternoon for everyone in Europe. Today with us, we're very honored to have Eduardo Javier Munoz. He's CEO of EVShare. He will talking about the ecosystem they are building in order to reduce or eliminate directly the carbon well cycle we have. And for him, he's building on top of RSK a big solution, and he's enabling a lot of relationships with a lot of partners and a lot of institutions and things that go around what makes he's talking to airports, he's talking to vehicle makers, he's talking to a lot of people, and they are creating a great ecosystem in order to make a healthier city, a healthier country, a healthier province. And we have him with us, and he will talk a little bit about what he's planning, what he's doing, and well, the scenery is all for you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And yeah, well, it's we're in a moment of pandemic. We are having a more bold understanding of how the environment is affecting us, and how having a healthier city is needed, not as a fancy thing, but as a real need for the future of our society. So reducing emissions requires the integration of to connectivity, to artificial intelligence, to machine learning, to Internet of Things. So the integration is, I would say, is the most important word when related to talking about decarbonization of cities. So decarbonization of cities is what, for example, is becoming the great item or thing that is going to be discussed, at least from the Democrats in the United States. The big thing coming in China, what they call the ecological society. It's the big thing in Europe when they call it the Green New Deal. Some similar name as it has in the United States, with California as a leader in the Western hemisphere. Yeah, from EVShare, we're working for the last 3 years with an incredible team of people, bringing this integration of different solutions into an overall solution that allows us to accomplish our vision, our mission, and our values. That is the screen I've seen now that you're sharing for us. So in our case, the vision is clear: is to create cleaner, healthier, sustainable, and more livable cities. Our mission is to do this with 1,000 cities in the next 10 years. And the values is always tending for people. I mean, solve people problems ahead of anything else. And when we say that, that might drive us to why we decided to be a foundation. It was a long and very discussed decision. It was a for-profit startup against a foundation, but in a certain moment we said, if we really want to solve the problem, we need to be able to defend the position and the rights of people and not anybody else. The only way of doing that without going to jail because of betraying your investors, that's being a foundation. So being a foundation is a philosophical decision for us, because that was the position we wanted to be, as defending the rights of people and how we bring this decarbonization and this better mobility, this better access to energy, the resiliency we need to have against the climate change and the effects of climate change we will continue to suffer all around the world. And the only way of doing this it was being a foundation. So that's how we got here. So you can go forward with the next, I think it's the second or third slide from this one. Yeah, just click right and you'll have, go ahead, the other one. Next one. So this slide shows very clear the previous one. This one shows the size of the opportunity with this multi-trillion, but this one shows us very clear what we need to change, what we need to achieve. Today we have 90% of the vehicles used by one person, and these vehicles are parked 90% of the time, and this culture is killing us. Almost 60% of the emissions comes from how we access to energy, and the whole system is totally inefficient. So this is how we approach and present it to California State is, well, today if we move 14 people, we move 14 vehicles, most probably. We can move 14 people in a high comfort and convenience with only one van. And those are the numbers. I mean, numbers are astonishing. The emissions that you are able to kidnap every year by doing this, and on the other way around, how many jobs we can create according to this new era of the green economy. So if you go forward, so how important this ecosystem might look like in the next years. So this is something we were talking about since 2017. It's about if we continue to go in the direction of the Green New Deal, how we create value for our society. So how many solar panels and wind generators will need to be installed, how many energy storage systems, how many electric vehicles for sharing, how many electric vehicles for distributing cargo and logistics. This new economy is one of the biggest businesses in the history of humanity. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars being invested into changing the ability of accessing to energy in a distributed way, be more efficient, and having a clean air to breathe. So what is not less important? Go ahead. I was, well, why foundation, I just explained it. So let's go to the ecosystem.
Great.
That's it. So how do we got to blockchain? No, that's a big, I always receive that question. So why blockchain? Well, the ecosystem is a complex ecosystem that has distributed energy resources, what means having energy generation in every roof, every asset, every parking lot. It has people needing to move, packages needing to be developed and delivered, and people needing to manage their energy. I mean, the energy that they generate. So on the distributed energy resources end, you're talking about the word used is prosumers. So how you become from a consumer of energy into a prosumer of energy, and to enable people to actually manage the energy they generate, how to make money of it instead of paying for it, or at least measure so they can spend less money on that and having more money for other things. We need to create a register, validation, and certification of transactions. And the best technology we have today to do this is blockchain. I mean, forget the cryptocurrency compound of this. Let's talk about blockchain as the solution. So we need these transactions to be unique and unreplicable and indivisible and unchangeable. So basically, what blockchain brings us is a level of transparency that allows us to have this ecosystem, an ecosystem in which individuals is not more people anymore. Individuals are energy roofs, energy storage systems, charging stations, vehicles, and people. So and maybe packages. So all this are individuals interacting into this ecosystem, and the only way of managing this volume of data and the interaction of these assets in an automated way, which brings us productivity and efficiency, is blockchain technology. So that's why you see in our ecosystem on the left, blockchain and transparency as the big pillars of this.
Eduardo, can you accommodate your microphone?
What?
If you can accommodate your microphone, I think that when you're somehow moving, it makes a noise that you cannot hear or listen very well.
Okay, this is better there.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so EVShare was created as a way of bringing together all these technologies into one ecosystem. The problem we saw after Paris Agreement in 2015 was that nations, cities, and even corporations had big difficulties on achieving the objectives they were imposing themselves because of a lack of knowledge of how to integrate all this technology into one actual solution. So that's the reason we started with all these years of research and development and being in the industry of electric vehicles. We decided to create EVShare and invite other people from different industries to bring their experience and work together to bring solutions that are actually able to be deployed, not 10 years from now, but now. So in that end, it was very important for us to work into a proposal with the team of companies led by the Energy Coalition to go into deploying this prosumer network and an interaction of all these assets on blockchain. That is something we're working to happen from this month onward. Awarded with there was a grant awarded there to create this first advanced energy community. There's companies like Green Commuter, Space AI, and Community Electricity that are related to EVShare somehow in different grades that are part of this, and we're going to test live this technology and this ecosystem. We have another very important project happening in north of Brazil in the Amazon region, and that is 1,100 taxis, electric taxis, that will be bringing a zero-emission taxi system for the city of Belém. We have a very important OEM signing a contract with us soon. Hopefully, we announce in the next 30 days. That's the Green Climate Fund, together with the CC35, are supporting us with funding. We already have a pre-selection of the project for that. And this is, we're talking about the biggest electric vehicle fleet of the Western Hemisphere outside of China. I would say in the world outside of China. And we're talking about thousands of transactions, creating carbon credits on-chain, registering them on-chain, using RSK Blockchain, but also REEF identity and governance features. And this brings us to the same pillars that I was referring before, as blockchain and transparency. Blockchain and transparency are the pillars that will drive us from where we are now to actually being able to deploy all this technology, bringing new source of financing. We created within EVShare a new financial system in which investors can put money into a trust that will hold the property of the assets until the community pays for it with their use. So by doing this, we're cutting all the inefficiencies of the system in terms of experience and use, but also on the financial side, connecting financial sources with projects and users, and that's something that that brings us to that moment, magic moment in which suddenly you are protecting the Amazon region. You're recovering a class like taxi drivers that have been affected by the changes in our industry and their lack of ability of change at the speed of the changes they have been suffering, like with companies like Uber and others. So what we're providing here is basically like a decentralized ride-sharing industry, in which we really connect users and drivers and bringing blockchain to make it happen in this decarbonized way.
Yes, Eduardo, I have a question around that. How is the process? How you connect with both parts? How does it work actually? When you go to a community, you present yourself, they look for you. How this idea?
Every case is a case, for example, we have a project that is going to happen in Malaysia, and that was through a contact from an investor of ours, and we ended having a meeting with the Minister of Transportation of Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur, August last year. It wasn't that looking for us. It was simply somebody that happened to know what we were doing and called the attention of the minister, and suddenly we were invited to go there and meet him. In California, we were working there for years. We were selected by the Department of Commerce first, when obviously on the car making side of our group. After that by governor's office in California, and then by the University of California, Merced. So we've been a Californian organization or group since 2012. It's not new for us. There you have all the legislation. I mean, California has a legacy of legislation regarding decarbonization and the cap and trade, the penalties on air pollution, and how you can buy credits to pay your penalties. So in that case, you have all the legislation. In other cases, it's the community itself calling you. In the case of Brazil, it was the taxi community that approached us. I lived 10 years there, so they went and asked to people we know, and they told them what we were doing and said, please connect us. And suddenly we were there, and they treat us as the saviors, and the project is really amazing. I mean, we've been advancing a lot. So it's every country different approach. In Poland, we were approached by a company that was creating an electric vehicle, an electric bus, and we were approached by them, and now we're making a presentation to city of Warsaw with them. But again, it's every city, every location, a different approach and a different project too. We're working on another project in Brazil that is related to replacing the whole bus system by an electric bus system, and that will be a PPP between EVShare and the city. And we will take care from the energy generation to the charging stations to vehicles selling the tickets. So we're actually managing the whole thing, the whole value chain of the system. But there we happened to meet the mayor, and the mayor asked us, "Hi, can you help me with this?" And I say, "Okay, yes, obviously we can." But again, it's every project has a different approach, and sometimes it's a taxi, sometimes it's the bus. In California, it's different. It's vans. the problem is big enough. What you need to know is that you can start solving it by pieces, and then you need to approach it to the need of each location to see what's first. I mean, the problem is very complex, but you need to start from somewhere, and that's the type of approach we have.
Yeah. Yes, of course, because the need for people moving and the values, the goods, they will, the logistics, besides taking the pandemic, we will still be needing to transport and to move and to get from places to places. The thing is to get it in a greener way. Here I have another question from Diego. He's saying, first, really interesting. Is there a way to integrate any EVShare to that platform in order to register carbon credits? I think that you are going to approach that in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Well, carbon credits is a total challenge. The carbon credits, the regulations we have today are more related to kidnap carbon by forest projects. There are some few standards on the mobility side. Well, we don't still have any reward for people taking decisions on leaving their own personal car and using an electric share vehicle, and that's something we're working on. It's just creating a protocol and see. With with presentations, and that makes sense to European Union, to California state, and any state that wants to get into this, showing them that there are other ways of reducing their emissions from 2021 onwards, after the COP26. It's the UN Covenant of Participants. So it's the meeting in which the world decides what's going to happen with the environmental legislation. From 2021 onwards, on COP26, all the goals that the countries signed on Paris Agreement are going to be enforced. And those that doesn't accomplish their goals, they will need to start paying penalties. So guess what? I mean, countries won't pay themselves. They will start charging private people for not accomplishing the goals that they should have worked with, and they did. So, but basically, it's going to start costing money for countries, and obviously for taxpayers, and that will bring, I would say, a market of carbon credits from the $17 we have today in average to maybe over 300. So it's going to be interesting times, I would say. In terms of the question, we create systems in which we measure live on blockchain all the metrics of the vehicle. So in order to be able to generate a carbon credit for the vehicle, we need to have our own communication node in the vehicle, and that's what we do. And we only do that for community-owned systems or community services. So I see difficulties in the beginning for incorporating personal vehicles into this market, but most probably it will happen in 3-4 years from now. I got a question there, but I can't read it. I don't know why.
No, that's what it. Well, here Facundo, his comment, it's not actually a question. He's saying it sounds like a nice thing to integrate with Pachama. I don't know if you know that project.
Yeah, I know the project. We are in essence a crowdsourced organization. We interact with many organizations. We haven't talked with them yet, but most probably it would be a good thing to do. And we will be delighted to talk with them. If he knows him or knows them, put us in touch with us.
Great, Facundo. Yes, we have your email. We will get in touch with you.
So just to add on this, what we are lacking is in the especially in the blockchain space and in the decarbonization space is use cases that are really impactful and that really are daily use, right? But yeah, it's a good way a good way of working on real stuff is actually tackling problems. I mean, you need to approach the community and see what the problems are and how we get there. Any question on your side or that you're reading?
No, not right now. He's talking about Facundo Garreton, our former congressman, and right now he's an agriculture. He's doing some nice things in Uruguay. So we'll talk to him afterwards. I don't see more questions here, but for the people who are participating, we invite you to write if you have any questions on the chat box, and we will try to answer them live.
Yeah, well, while we wait for people to have courage and make questions, don't be shy, guys. I don't bite. One thing I would like to say is, there's it's a very complex ecosystem in terms of needing to integrate roofs with energy storage systems, with chargers, with vehicles, with people, cargo, connectivity, and data. It sounds like a crazy thing to be done. The good thing is we already tested this end of 2018 during LA Commotion in Los Angeles. We already tested, vehicles making transactions with chargers, with energy storage systems, with solar panels. And the ability of being able to do this is just simply a crazy, amazing quantity of data that if we are able to use blockchain and artificial intelligence, will drive us to a high level of productivity. And that's exactly what we're doing now. I mean, people, when we started the project in the Amazon, they were telling us, this is impossible to be done. And as I'm a little bit stubborn, or we are as an organization, very stubborn, I would say, the worst thing you can do with us is telling us that it's impossible to be done. It's like motivating us to do it. But again, it's I get it when people say it's impossible to be done because they think it with their reality and their tools or what they have available. The good thing about all of us is we've been into the technology space, electric vehicles, connectivity. I mean, you have amazing people in this group, like Diego Favarolo from Space AI, and you have, we have you guys from RSK have been very helpful. And when you put all these people together to work, and especially when you are not from the old paradigm of the industry, you're able, you have a free, soul. You have a free soul to think about a solution without the limitations of your old paradigm or your old culture. And that's what brought us here. Was the ability of having different angles of visibility of the problem. So we were able to tackle it in a very unique, integrated way, I would say.
Yes, I think it's a great solution. It's a great approach that you're doing, and that the world is asking for it mostly. We cannot still be living in the same with the same paradigm as generations before. The population is it's growing, the commerce is growing. and we cannot keep destroying our planet. It's we're at a moment where we have a great alert telling us, well, stop and start doing things in a new way. And as you were saying, we have our freedom and our liberty of mind, and we can think about, and we have the technology to help us.
Yeah, I was hearing today. It was funny. It's a conference call between Jeremy Rifkin and Chinese officials. And Jeremy Rifkin, if you don't know him, I recommend you guys to see videos or maybe read books. The Zero Marginal Cost Society. Now he's launching his new book. It's the Zero Carbon Society. And he was saying that it's for the first time in the human history, we have two generations, millennials and centennials, that are thinking of ourselves as a species, not a race, not a nationality, but thinking as a species, as a human beings, and the problems we have all together. And I think that, approaching solutions and business with that vision is what will drive us to the place we all want to be. I mean, I have been, who hasn't, right, in blockchain space, listening the world decentralization, and this hype on, governance and all this stuff. But when you're able to really understand this essence of being on side of people, and on the solutions that really change lives, having that as a goal, business comes alone. I mean, when you create the correct ecosystem, and that's what I think we should all work in this industry, with very strong efforts on solving real problems and real life changing, because the size of the business is huge. We just need to create the conditions for it and not try to get this technology into the conditions and ecosystems that are already existing, that might make our life or difficult, or have issues of trying to establish solutions for problems that are not really a big thing.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a great conclusion. And well, the mindset of as you're saying, of a whole new generation, the millennials, the centennials, and also the businessman. We are waiting for the political class in many countries also, but the businessmen and people who have an entrepreneurial spirit, they are thinking about, well, creating business and making money and having a profit, but in a more sustainable way. And this type of solutions, they all merge and they adequate to the new mindset, as you said before. And I think that
I'm going that direction. You have, we're in the middle of a pandemic, thousands of people dying, and we're so worried about this. But we've been suffering over 8 million deaths every year because of air pollution, and we've done nothing. So I would say that it's a good moment to have a real conscious of this, and start really making it, and we'll need a big effort from everybody, because solving this needs a cultural change. And if there's something that is difficult for humans, is cultural changes, because we're an animal of
habits.
Of habits, and very repeating things. Well, we need to change what we've created. I always hear like the oil industry. Well, the oil brought us to where we are, but as a long time, we should have changed this, because it's the change is really needed, and we delayed this too much. It's time to really make it happen.
Exactly. Well, guys, the ones who are, I don't know if you have more questions. I don't see much here being written or being asked. Well, as you all know, this webinar is being recorded. We will upload to our YouTube channel that it's youtube.com/RSK Smart. I'll write it on the chat box. And right here, it's also, yes, it's a kind of difficult question to answer from George. He says, we need to change. The question is how.
Well, we know how. If your community really wants to change, what I can say is, changes have never came in the past from leaders. Changes have always been a reality because of people's pressure, of people's claiming the change. So I would say, if we want change to happen, it's about getting out there and start making our voice heard. If we wait leaders, politicians to change, I mean, there's nothing less innovative than governments and big corporations. So change needs innovation, and this needs to come from us, from people.
Exactly. From entrepreneurs, basically, and people with entrepreneurial spirit and with new ideas and the will to make them happen. Because, well, that's it. Go knocking doors.
But it comes a lot from community awareness. People needs to claim for this. If people don't claim for this, I mean, it will be difficult, because there's only one thing politicians fear most, and that's its loss of votes, because that takes them the power. So I would say that if people start claiming this with a loud voice, they will start to hear. I mean, they will look for votes, and that's the only way of going.
Yes, exactly. Well, I don't know if you watch it. This is a new series in Netflix called The Politician, and well, it's mainly for millennials. It's like very lame, but the candidacy, his whole platform is about climate change, and he gains all the votes because of the younger generation, because older generations won't vote, and they didn't care. But the younger generation, they were eager to listen to something new. And well, if that kinds of ideas get to the people who has the actual power, they will make things happen. So I agree on that. Pretty much that yes, it comes from the base of the pyramid, it comes from the society, and we have different forms to organize and to make our message being listened. Well, with social networks today, yeah, you can get pretty much everything done with new platforms, Democracy OS, change.org. There are a lot of ways to start asking new petitions, and technology is a great ally for this.
Yeah, I was reading. George was telling us while you were saying this that I agree. I mean, that's a way of going. He's saying that we need a new paradigm, and I think that we're living it. I mean, I know that it's maybe not the reality in the whole world, but if you see what China is doing, what Europe is starting to do, what California has been doing for the last 22 years, we're talking about 22 years of environmental legislation. That's California. I mean, that's the fifth economy in the world, inside the first one. There's one reason why they are in that position, and it's because they innovate and they lead. So I think that this is a moment. The amazing thing about this moment is that we are in a situation in which almost everybody can be at the same line, of starting. It takes a political decision to lead. Technology is access to technology is sort of out there, not generally, because there are already countries that position themselves on knowing what the technology is. But at this point, there's not mature technology. It's not, we don't have the technology that will be used for the next 20 years. We have technology today that's going to be used for the next 2 or 3 years. So that means that you can start using what you have today and start supporting the development of new technologies that will drive or that will evolve to that direction of which are the technologies that will lead us. There's a big opportunity there. And I think that there's it's a pity because all of Latin American countries and underdeveloped countries, they have really the chance on getting to a raise or getting to the self-production of the Industry 4.0, which is coming. But we see very little being done to get a good use of that opportunity.
Yes, of course. So Eduardo, I think that we've taken a huge path, and here another question: how a social change to improve a quality of life for all and not only for a few. Exactly. Well, that's a good phrase to end up.
Well, he just resumed what EVShare is doing.
From RSK,
it's improving everybody's life and standing on the side of people. And again, that's why we decided to create EVShare as a foundation, because we wanted to stand on the side of people, and we understand that people are the ones that will change and drive the change.
Yes, exactly. So thank you so much, Eduardo, for this. For the Spanish speakers, if you're listening to us, we will be back at 6 p.m. Argentina time, or GMT -3, which is also Brazil and Uruguay. So well, here on the chat box, I've written a few links from you can see the webpage from EVShare, you can see YouTube channels, you can see our partners landing page. So Eduardo, thank you so much. I don't know if you want to say anything else.
No, yeah, just thank you very much for having me, and we are open to any questions or stuff through our conventional social media channels.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Bye-bye, and we'll see you in a couple of hours.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.